सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम आप्यायन्तु ममाङ्गानि वाक्प्राणश्चक्षुश्रोत्रमथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्म उपनिषदं माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्याम् मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत् करणमस्त्वनिराकरणं मे अस्तु तदात्मनि निरते यौपनिषत्सु धर्मास्ते मयि सन्तु ते मयि सन्तु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ओमित्येतदक्षरमुद्गीतमुपासीत ओमिति ह्युद्गायते तस्योपव्याख्यानम् page 226 तदैक्षत बहुस्यां प्रजायेति तत्तेजो सृजत तत्तेज ऐक्षत बहुस्यां प्रजायेति तदपो सृजत तस्मात् यत्र क्वच शोचति स्वेदतेवा पुरुषः तेजसेव तद अध्यापो जायन्ते तत् ऐक्षत, that devata, the deity, namely Sat, existence of Brahman, aikshata, it saw, it deliberated. Bahusyam may become many, prajaya may be born, says prakarshena jaya may be born very well, excellently. With that thought, tat teja asrujata, it created teja, the element fire. Tat teja aikshata, then that element fire also again saw. Bahusyam prajayati, may become many, may also be born. Tat apaha asrujata, it created water. Tasmad yatra kvacha shochati, therefore whenever a person suffers, sveda deva or perspires, purusha tejasevatat adhyapah adhijayante, that water is born of fire only. On the page 227 we are told evam ikshitva tat teja asrujata teja srishtavata bahusyam prajaya. In this manner, having deliberated, it created teja, the element fire. Then the question is nanu tasmadva etasmad atmanah akasha sambhutah iti shrutyantare akashad vayuhu tatah trutiyam teja shrutam. But in the Chhandogya Upanishad it is said tasmad etasmad atmanah akasha sambhutah. From that Brahman, who is this Atma? From that Akasha, the first element that emerged was Akasha, the space. Akashad Vayuhu, Vayuhu Agnihi. From Akasha Vayu, from Vayu Agni, therefore that fire is Tritiyaha, Tritiyam Tejaha. So fire is the third in the sequence. Here it is first in the sequence. There Akasha is first in the sequence. Here it is not even mentioned. There the Tejas was born of Vayu. Here is born of Sat. So many different kinds of differences are there. But in this Shruti and that Shruti, many differences are there. Ihatu katham prathamyena tasmadeva teja srujyate. Teja is born prathamyena, there tritiyam, tasmadeva sataheva, there vayoho. Tadeva cha akasham, from Sat Akash was born, here from Sat Teja is born. Iti viruddham. So many different, there are so many contradictions are there. Naisha dosha akashvayu sarganandaram tat teja asrujataiti kalpana upapatte. That Sat or the deity Brahman created fire, having created space and air, so space and air also should be included here. And even though it is said that the fire is born of Vayu, tat teja asrujata. In fact, even Vayu also is nothing but deity Sat or Brahman in the form of Vayu created fire. Therefore, ultimately, fire also is created by Brahman only. So by including those two elements here, even though this Shruti mentions three elements, we should understand them as five elements. Even though even there it is said, Vayoho Agnihi, from air the space is, the fire is born, we should understand that air also is nothing but the deity Sat in the form of air. So that way you can reconcile the differences. Athava avyakshitaiva srushti kramaha. Or another explanation is that the sequence of creation is not what is the important thing here, is what is not the main point. Sat karyamidam sarvam. The point is that Sat karyamidam sarvam. This whole universe is karyam, the effect of Sat or existence of Brahman. Sat ekameva dvitiyamidi etad vivakshitam. So vivakshitam. So Vaktamicha, the intention of the Shruti here is that all is Sat, that's all. Therefore, in what manner things were created is not important. Everything is created from Sat, meaning Sat alone is everything. Sat is Ekam, Advitiyam, one non-dual. So that is the purport here. Mrudari Drishtantat. So from the various illustrations of clay, etc., how it is shown how clay alone is everything, so also Sat alone is everything. Or Tatparyantaram Athava Trivit Karanasya Vivakshitatvat. Or Trivit Karanam, intermixture of these three elements. Maybe that is Trivit Karanam is important here, for which the three elements are mentioned. How come this Shruti does not mention 5 elements? How come it mentions 3 elements? Because Trivrit Karanam, the intermixture of 3 elements. Tejo Bandhanam eva Srishtim Achaste. And so that is why the Srishti of the creation of the 3 elements is stated here. As the Tikakara said in the line 28, Karya Vivekadvara Karanasya Satyatvam. Why Trivrit Karanam? Even Trivrit Karana also, this mixing up of the elements, 3 elements, for the compound creation. Why is it so? Karya Vivekadvara Karanasya Satyatvam. So that when you examine the Karya, the effect, you realize that it is nothing but Karanam. When you analyze the pot, you realize that it is nothing but clay. Therefore, Karya Vivekadvara Mrittika ityeva satyam. Trini Rupani ityeva satyam. The 3 colors alone are real, and the 3 elements are real, and Sat is real. Tad Vijnanene Karya Vijnanam cha Pradarshaitum. Therefore, inasmuch as anything in the universe is a mixture of the 3 elements, and 3 elements are nothing but Sat. Therefore, whatever is Sat. So that is why, so Trivrit Karanam is the purport here. So Bhashyakar said, Bhashyakar gave 3 explanations are given here to reconcile the difference between what this Shruti says and what the Taittiriya Upanishad says. One, include the elements air and spice and air here because Upasamhara. This is the rule here, that what is, if the topic is the same, then what is mentioned in different places can be combined. Or the Srishti Krama is not important, that Ek Sat Ekameva Advityam, Sat is one without a second, that is the purport. So it doesn't matter what the Krama is. Or Trivrit Karanam is purport. So that Shruti can show how everything is Sat. To show how everything is Sat, will be told how what you call fire is nothing but the combination of 3 colors. Yagne, Rohitam Rupam, Tejasa, Tadrupam. Whatever the red color in the fire is nothing but the color of the element Tejaha, the white color is element water, the black color is element earth. So when you look at this, then Agnehe Agnitvam Apagatam Apagat Agnehe Agnitvam. Agni no more remains Agni. 3 Rupani va Satyam. Only 3 colors are there, 3 elements are there. Sat alone is Satyam. So the purpose of the Trivrit Karanam is to help us see how the whole universe is nothing but Sat or existence. Continuing on the page 228, the Tikakara says, Tatastha Swarupa Lakshanabhyam Tejas Shabdartham Aha. Tejaha, the fire, the Tatastha Lakshanam is stated, the Swarupa Lakshanam. Tatastha Lakshanam, incidental attribute. Swarupa Lakshanam, inherent nature. So Teja iti, Bhashyakara says, the second line, Teja iti prasiddham loke dagdhru aktru prakashakam rohitam cheti. So what is Teja? What is fire? Bhashyakara says, what is well known as fire? It is loke, dagdhru, that which burns, paktru, that which ripens, cooks or ripens, prakashakam, that which illumines, rohitam, that which is red. So this is how fire is well known in the earth. So that well known element fire is what is meant by Teja. That's all. तेजो मात्रस्य अचेतनत्वे ईक्षण अनुपत्तेः आह. And then further Bhashyakara says तत्सत सत्सृष्टं तेजः ऐक्षत तेजो रूप संस्थितं सत् ऐक्षत इत्यर्थः. तत् सत्सृष्टं तेजः, that तेजः सत्सृष्टम, which was created by Sat or existence or Brahman. Aikshata, that also saw, deliberated. So Tikakara says, Tejo matrasya achetanatvena ikshana anupattehe. But fire is an unconscious entity. Therefore, how can fire see? How can fire deliberate? Therefore, Bhashyakara said, Tejo Rupa Samsiddham Sat Aikshata. First of all, Bhashyakara clarified that the reason why the Upanishad says Aikshata, it saw, is to emphasize the fact that Sat is a conscious entity. That's the purpose. Whether it saw or not is not important. What is important is that Sat is consciousness. So Sat can deliberate because it is conscious entity. Therefore Bhashyakara says, Tejo Rupa Samsiddham Sat. Sat or existence which manifested in the form of fire. So that Sat now in the form of fire deliberated. Even though it says Tejaha Aikshata. But then it is in fact Sat Aikshata. Tejo Rupa Samsiddham Sat Aikshata. Sat or existence which obtained as fire that deliberated. How do you see? Bahusyam prajayayeti purvavat. Purvavat, like before, Sat deliberated before also, it deliberates now also. Bahusyam prajayayeti, may become many, may be born. Tat apaha asrujata. Then Sat in the form of Tejaha created apaha. Apa means water. The word is up, and apaha is the accusative plural. You know, of up shabda, accusative plural is apaha. So created water. So what is water? It says apaha dravaha snigdaha syandinyaha shuklascheti prasiddha loke. Water also is well known as dravaha, which is liquid. Snigdha, which is cool. Syandinaha, which is fluid. Shuklascha, white. The word up is always used in the plural, you know, for whatever reason. So some words are used in plural. But up is always used in plural. Dara is always used in plural. Daraha, you know. So that's how the usage is. Therefore, apaha again that is the plural, the nominative case of the word up. Apaha, dravaha, they are liquid, they are cool, they are fluid, they are white, they are well known. Loke prasiddhaha. That's how the water is well known. Yasmat तेजसः कार्यभूत आपः तस्मात् यत्र क्वच देशे काले वा शोचते santapyate svedate prasvidyate va purushah tejasa eva tat tada apah adhijayante yasmat tejasa karyabhutah apah. Since water is karyabhutam, is created or a product of teja, of fire. Tasmat, therefore, yatra kvacha, yatra deshe, wherever, in whichever place, kvacha kale, at whatever time, shochati purusha, when a person suffers, that's a mental agony. Santapyate, suffers. Svedate prasvidyate, perspires va purusha tejaseva tad tada apah adhijayante. Then that waters are born only from tejas or fire only. Says Tikakara, apam tejo janyatvam idanim ashru svedarupanam apam santaparupa तेजोजन्यत्व दर्शनेन दृढ़यते. अन्य केसेस अपाम तेज कार्यत्वे लोकानुभवम अनुकूलयते. That water is the product of fire, that is the experience of the people. Lokaनुभवम अनुकूलयते shows the experience of people. Here idanim ashru svedarupanam apam, the water, the ashru in the form of the tears, sweat in form of perspiration. Santaparupa tejojanyatva darshanena. They are born of fire. What fire? Santaparupa teja. Fire of the nature of suffering. So, that from that fire, this water is born. Iti dhrayati tasmad yatra iti. Therefore, yatra kvacha deshe kaleva shochati. Says the Tika, shochati shokena ashruni patayate. A man suffers, meaning that he brings out tears because of the mental agony, the tears come out. So the agony is fire and tears are water. भाष्ये संताप शब्देनापि तत्पूर्वक अश्रुपात अभिधीयते. So also when Bhashyakara santapyate, meaning ashrupata is involved there, the tears. Svedate va the sharira santapena shesha, when the body gets hot, then it perspires. Shokah manasa santapah iti bhedah. Therefore, svedate sharira santapena shochati manasa santapena. The mental agony. That's the difference between the shoka and sveda. So in that manner, then this the Dvitiya Khanda is continuous here, okay? Next passage is Ta apah aikshanta Bhakhyasyama Prajaye mahite Taha Annam asrujanta Tasmad Yatra kvacha varshade Tadeva Bhuishtham annam bhavate Adbhyah eva Tat adhi Annadyam jayate. Taha apah aikshanta. Those that water also saw or deliberated. Bhakhyasyama prajaya mahiti, maybe become many, maybe be born excellently. Having thought that way, taha annam asrujata. The water created annam, food. Here it means the element earth. Tasmat yatra kvacha varshade. Therefore, wherever and whenever there is rain, tadeva bhuvishtam annam bhavati. That is where the plenty of food happens. That shows that tasmat adhyeva tad adhi anna. So adhi jayate annadyam. The eatable food is born of water. So Bhashyakara says, Ta apaha aikshanta purvad eva abakara samsthitam sata aikshara ityartha. Taha apaha aikshanta. The Upanishad says the water saw, the water deliberated. So Bhashyakara says, Purvat eva, like before, abakara samsitam sad eva aikshada. Water which was manifest, sat which was manifest as water, that alone deliberated. So sat in the form of water deliberated. That's how we should understand. Bhakshyah prabhutaha syama bhavema prajayemahi utpadyemahi iti. So how did it say? Bhakshyah prabhutaha syama may become many. Prajayemahi utpadyemahi iti, may we be excellently born. Then further says, Taha annam asujanta prithvi lakshanam. Taha, that water, annam asrujanta, they created annam. What is annam here? So Tika says, Mahabhuta prastavat anna shabdena prithvi lakshyate. Mahabhuta prastavat. The prastava here, or the subject matter is Mahabhuta, the great elements. Fire, water, earth. So that is the context here. Therefore, even though Upanishad's Anna, we should understand that as Prithvi, as earth. Therefore, Bhashyakara said, Annam asrujanta Prithvi lakshanam. Anna here stands for Prithvi, the element water. From that, the element earth was created. Then says Lakshana Bijam Karikaranatvam Sambandamaha. This is called Lakshana Vritti. Even though the word Annam is used, we should understand it as Prithvi. Why? What leads you to say that Annam should mean Prithvi? So Shakya Sambandha, some Sambandha must be there. So what Sambandha here? Karikaranatvam Sambandamaha. Because the relationship between earth and food is one of Karanam and Karyam. And therefore, Karanam is Lakshade, Karyadvara, Karanam Lakshade. Bhashyakara says, Parthivam hi annam. Because it's well known that annam, food, is in fact a product of Prithvi. So Prithvi is the cause, annam is the effect. Therefore, annam means Prithvi here. Apam karyam annamiti yatrapi loka prasiddhim darshayate. Here also, how water is the food is the earth is the product of water. There also loka prasiddhi. So what is well known in the world, that is cited as an example here. यस्मात् अपकार्यमन्नं तस्मात् यत्र क्वच वर्षते देशे तत तत्रैव भूयिष्ठं प्रभूतम् अन्नं भवति। यस्मात् अपकार्यमन्नं, because the annam, the food, is the karyam, the product of up or water. Tasmat yatra kvacha varshati deshe, therefore wherever, whenever, whichever place, at whatever time, there is plenty of rain. Tat means tatraiva bhuyishtam prabhutam annam bhavati. There plenty of food is found, seen there, so food is born of water. अन्नाद भवन्ति भूतानि पर्जन्याद अन्न संभवः। अभिन्नयोः कार्यकारणभावं पूर्ववत् साधयति। How two are not separate from the food is not separate from water, so कार्यकारणभाव is shown. तस्मात् यत्र क्वच वर्षति देशे तत् तत्रैव भूयिष्ठं प्रभूतम् अन्नं भवति। अतः अद्भ्यः एव तत अन्नाद्यम् अधिजायते। Therefore, अद्भ्यः एव तद अन्नाद्यम, अन्नाद्यम or eatable food, So अन्नाद्यम, adyam, food which is eatable. Annam cha tad adyam cha iti annadyam. Adhijayate, so eatable food is born. So says Tika, Tasmad yatra iti vakyagata anna shabdabhyam purvat na prithvi grihyate. Tasmad yatra kvacha varshati deshe tat tatreva bhuyishtam prabhutam annam bhavati. Atah adbhyeva tad अन्नाद्यम अधिजायते। वाक्यगतम अन्न शब्दाभ्याम, so anna is used here twice. Wherever it rains, that is where the food is, therefore the food is born of water. So what annam is used twice. No prithvi gruhyate, by that what annam you should understand the element earth. पृथिव्याः अपजन्यत्व adarshena drishtantatu anupattehe. Nobody has seen that the earth is born of water, so that cannot be drishtanta. Drishtanta means something prasiddham, something well known, something that must be everybody's experience. Nobody has seen the earth being born of water. Everybody sees food being born of water. Kintu vrihyavadyeva grihyate iti vaktum अन्नाद्यमिति श्रुतौ विशेषं दत्तमित्याह. So by the second here annam means vrihyavadi. It is paddy, it is barley, that's what is meant here. Iti vaktum अन्नाद्यमिति श्रुतौ विशेषं दत्तम. So अन्नाद्यम, that's why Shruti said अन्नाद्यम, eatable food, eating. So Bhashyakara says, Taha annam asujanta iti prithvi ukta urvam ihato drishtante annam cha tat adyam cha iti visheshanad vrihyavadyaha uchyante. Taha annama sujanta iti prithvi ukta. Taha, those waters, water created annam. That annam means prithvi. Ihatu, but in this example, drishtante annam cha tat adyam cha iti visheshanat. Vrihyavadyaha uchyante. But here it is not annam but annadyam it is said. Formerly annam was said, which meant Prithvi. So annadyam, eatable food, therefore Vrihyavadyaha. So paddy, barley, that's what is meant here. The Tikakara says, Yadyapi Vrikhyadi annasya abjanyatvam idanim drisyamanam na prasivyaha sakshat abjanyatvam sadhu alam tayo bhedat. Yadyapi Vrikhyadi annasya abjanyatvam idanim drisyamanam. What we see is that it is a barley, it is a paddy that is born of food, that we see. The prasivyaha sakshat, from that, the food is born of water, from there, how is earth is born of water? Upanishad says the water created earth. As an example, the Upanishad cited that wherever there is plenty of water, there is plenty of food. So food is born of water, all right, but how does it establish that earth is born of water? This example is not adequate to establish that earth is born of water. Tayo bhedat, because earth is one thing, eatable food is another thing. Tathapi prithvi karyatvat vrikyadehe. However, the paddy, the barley, being the prithvi karyam, the products of earth, tasmin drisyamanam abjanyatvam karanatvi tathatvam sambhavayate. But still, the fact that the food is born of water, which is evident to us, therefore, and the food being product of earth, therefore, we imagine that earth also indicates sambhavayate. So the possibility that the cause of the food, which is earth, also may be born of water. Karya dharmasya karanadhana purvakatyasya auchityadi bhavaha. Karya dharmasya, the attribute of karya, the effect, comes from the cause. So, the being born, the birth from water is what we find in case of food. And food is a product of earth. Therefore, they must have inherited, that being born of water must be inherited from its cause, earth. And therefore, we can say that earth also is born of water. Taha annam asujanta iti vakyagata anna sabdidam prithivim lakshanena spashtayate. Taha annam asrujanta, the water, anna means prithivim asrujanta, they created Prithvi. So what is this Prithvi? Bhashyakara says, annam ja guru sthiram dharanam krishnam cha rupatah prasiddham. Annam here means Prithvi. I mean, Guru is heavy. Sthiram, it is steady. Dharanam, it is supporting. Krishnam, it is dark. So, Bhashyakara gave the characteristics of fire, characteristics of water, and now characteristics of earth. Iti prasiddham. Anandagiri also raised another point in the second line. Taha annam asrujandaityye atra adbhyah anna srushti upadishta drishtandevi tabhya tas srushti upadishyade tatha paunarukyam. The Ashtanta and Drishtanta should have some difference. Drishtanta says from water food is born. The Darstanta also said water created food. So that means you are repeating yourself. Drishtanta, Darstanta show have difference. Therefore, first food is Prithvi, second food is the eatable food. That's how Bhashyakara distinguished the two. तत्तेजः ऐक्षत इत्यादौ यथाश्रमर्थं गृहीत्वा चोदयते. तत्तेजः ऐक्षत, that fire deliberated is yathashrutam. Now somebody questions. The Upanishad says that fire deliberated. So taking it literally, the question is raised here. Nanu iti, so Bhashyakara says, Nanu tejah pravritishu ikshanam nagamyate himsadi pratisheda abhavad trasadi karya anupalambhacha tatra katham tattejah aikshata ityadi. How do you say, how can teja, fire or water, how can they deliberate? Teja prabhutishu ikshanam, beginning of fire and then in water. Ikshanam nagamyate. It is not possible that there is ikshanam, seeing or visualization or deliberation in these elements, fire, water. Because that is possible only in the conscious being. Even though the point was clarified, it is brought up again. Brought up by some Purupakshi Sankhya, the Tikakara will explain. Himsadi pratisheda abhavad. See, na himsyat sarva bhutani. You should not hurt any living being. There is no prohibition that you should not hurt fire. Fire is quenched. Then there is fire. In fact, you put it out by pouring water. So you are actually killing the fire. But it is not said you should not kill fire, you should not hurt fire. That is not that. That means fire is not a living being. It is very clear that himsa or violence towards living beings should not be carried out, should not be done. Nahimsyat sarva bhutani. You should not kill or hurt or injure any living being. But even though you are hurting fire, no prayaschitta is in fact recommended or prescribed. And so, himsadi pratisheda bhavat trasadi karya anupalambhacha. We do not see fear, etc. So when you hurt somebody, a living being, there is fear in that living being. So when they kill cows and animals and chicken and things like that, I mean those creatures are terribly afraid, terribly scared, they scream. So whenever you are about to hurt any living being, you see trasa means fear, but we don't find that thing happening in fire, water, etc. Tatra katham tatteja aikshata ityadi. Then how do you say that? Teja aikshata, that the fire deliberated. How do you say? No, teja prabhutishu is plural. In fact, only two elements are deliberating, tejaha and apaha. So how does Bhashyakara use plural? He should use dual. He uses plural, prabhutishu. So Tikakara explains, bahuvachanam aptejo vyatiriktyapi achetane isham nasti vaktum. You know? So, that in water, in fire, or in any other unconscious element, there cannot be ikshanam, there cannot be seeing, there cannot be deliberation. So not only fire and water, but any other unconscious element, unconscious entity. So न युज्यते अचेतनत्वात् न युज्यते न गम्यते. So तेजः प्रभुतिषु ईक्षणं न युज्यते or न गम्यते. न युज्यते should have been better. अचेतनत्वात्, because it is unconscious. Acetanatvam sadhayati. The Purupakshi says, why is fire unconscious? Why is water unconscious? Gives the reason. Himsadi pratisheda abhavat. Because there is no pratisheda, there is no prohibition of for himsa or hurting fire or water, etc. Chetanatve tej adinam tad himsayam pratishedasyat. So tej adinam chetanatve. If the fire, water, etc. were really conscious, then tad himsayam pratishedasyat. It would have been said, don't put out fire, don't burn water. That should have been said. You can't cook, you can't do anything. Nachatadasti, but that pratisheda, prohibition is not there. Tadhimsayam prayaschitta anupadeshat. Having put out the fire, there is no prayaschitta. That means that there is no prohibition also. Even if sometimes you don't find nisheda, find prayaschitta, that means that nisheda was implied there. Ataha acetanatvam. Therefore, the fire, water, all of these are unconscious. Himsadi pratisheda abhavat trasadi karya anupalambhacha. Adi shabda hai आक्रोशनाद्यर्थ है. त्रासादि आदि शब्द ने शोकादिकम गृह्यते. You should not hurt, you should not shout at also. Normally you hurt people sentiment by shouting at them also. So nobody said don't shout at fire, or shokadikam trasadi, you don't find fire is afraid, or fire is grieving, so that's not found. Tikakara says, Yadyapi tejo rupa samsthitam sat aikshadaiti uktva acetanatvam parihrutam. Even the Bhashyakara already has replied this. Tejo rupa samsthitam sat aikshada. So an Upanishad says, Sat, Teja Ikshata, fire deliberated. Bhashyakara said, Sat in the form of fire deliberated. So, we don't claim that Teja is Chetanam, it is Sat that is Chetanam. So that point was already covered. Still, Tathapi, Chedas Shabdasya Sati Lakshana Na Yukta. Even then, it is. So when Teja means Sat there. Teja Aikshata means Sat Aikshata. So by Lakshana Vritti, by the word say Teja, you mean Sat. But Teja Sati Lakshana Yukta. It is not right that you should imply exists Sat by the word Teja. Mukhyartha Tyagasya Ayuktattvaditi. Because you are compromising or you are sacrificing the primary meaning and using Lakshana Vritti. Lakshana Vritti should be resorted to only when the primary meaning of the Vachyartha is not applicable. Iti Gudha Abhisande Sankhya Im Ashanka Drashtavyam. Is Sankhya who is in fact raising this doubt. Then Teja Adishu Ikshanasya Aupacharikatve Siddhantana Ukte. Siddhanti said that by Teja we mean Sat, meaning that the Ikshanam, the seeing on the word of Teja is the Aupacharikam. Fire as though deliberated. Really who deliberated? Sat deliberated. But Upanishad says fire deliberated. So fire as though deliberated, meaning that deliberation or seeing in case of fire is aupacharikam, is only in a secondary sense, not in a primary sense, in a figurative sense. Alright then, Sat Kartrugam Iksham Aupacharikam Sadhyami. So Sankhya is waiting for you to say that the Ikshanam or seeing on part of Teja is Aupacharikam, is secondary. Then he says, well, why not in the part of Sat also Aupacharikam? Because he wants to establish Sat is Pradhanam. Sankhya wants to interpret the word Sat as Pradhanam. But we say that it cannot be Pradhanam because Pradhanam is an unconscious entity. How can it deliberate? So he wants to say that Pradhanam as though deliberated. If Teja as though deliberated, why not Sat also as though deliberated? Then Sat will be Pradhanam, then everything will be fine. Iti Gudha Abhisandhi. This is the hidden agenda on the part of Sankhya in raising this question. Yadyapi aikshadairyasya aupacharikatvam tenapi angikaryam. Even to say that Pradhanam aikshada, the Pradhanam saw, that also Pradhan being unconscious cannot really see, therefore Sankhya also would accept that is aupacharikam, only secondary. Tathapi prathama shrutasya tejas shabdasya asanjata virodhinah lakshana na yukta. But prathama shrutasya tejas shabdasya. So Teja is the first one here. So asanjata virodhinah. Kintu charam shrutasya vasa yukta. I don't know what this has to do with Mimamsa, I guess, So asanjata virodhinah lakshana na yukta. Kintu charam shrutasya vasa yukta. Vedokrama adhikaranadeti nyayadeti. So Vedopakrama adhikarana, whatever that nyaya is in the Mimamsa. The idea is that Teja, it is not right that you take Lakshana Vritti in case of Teja. Shankitu Hridayam, that's in the heart of the Shankitu, of the doubter. Yathashrutam adaya pariharti siddhanti. Yathashrutam adaya. Siddhanti refutes this by resorting to what the Shruti says, Naishaiti. Anandagiri also said in the line 15, Pranishu himsa pradhishedavat anugraha vidhanavaccha. See, we are told that you should not hurt any living being. Same time, you must be very compassionate to all living beings. Sarva bhuta hite rataha. We are told that you should not hurt living beings, but we are told that you should help them. But tejah pravrutishu tadabhavat. But that does not include fire, etc. That you should be kind to fire, you should not hurt fire. Teshu ikshanakari drushtivat eteshu tad drushti abhavat. In living beings, ikshanakaryam is there, but in these elements, how can we don't see it? Na eteshu ikshanam pramanikam. Therefore, eteshu, in the fire, water, other unconscious entities, Iksham, seeing the pramanikam, not supported by pramanam. Tathaja prakrutam pramatta gitam. So it is the blabbering, pramatta gitam. It is blabbering of somebody who is not in the right mind, you see. So tesham gunamikshitritvam upetya pariharti. Bhashyakara says you are right. The ikshitritvam, the ikshanam, on the part of fire, etc., is only secondary, not primary. So, Nisha dosha, Bhashyakara says, page 230, नैष दोषः ईक्षित्र कारण परिणामत्वात् तेजः प्रभृतीनां सतः इव ईक्षितुः नियतक्रम विशिष्ट कार्योत्पादकत्वात् तेजः प्रभृति ईक्षत इव ईक्षते इति उच्यते। भूतम और अभूतम, both the readings are there. ईक्षितु कारण परिणामत्वात् तेज प्रभृतिनाम. Bhashyakara says, in case of teja, apah, Ikshanam is only in the Aupacharika secondary sense, figurative sense. Then how do you say that? So what's the reason for Lakshana? Ikshitu Karana Parinamatvat. Because Karanam is Sat. Sat is Ikshitru. So Ikshanam is there in Sat. And the fire and water are the products of Sat. Therefore, the seeing that belongs to Sat can be implied or can be figuratively said to also obtaining in the Teja Apaha. Satah eva Ikshituhu Niyatakrama Vishishta Karyotpadakatvat. Satah eva Ikshituhu. So just as Sat, because it's a real deliberator, therefore it creates Niyatakrama Vishishta Karyotpadakatvat. So Niyatakrama, well-defined order, krama of succession, well-defined order. So wherever you find well-defined order of succession, there must be a deliberate creation. When you find the succession is well-defined, Akashad Vayuhu, Vayuhu Agnihi, Agnihi Apah, Adbhya Prasivi, Prasivyam Oshaya, Oshadebhyonnam, Annat Purushaha. So thus, when that well-defined succession is there, then you know that it must be carried out by a conscious entity, because a conscious entity only can think in this systematic manner. An unconscious thing, when it does, for example, air, so air also does all kinds of stuff. But then the creation by air, that all sorts of things are flown away and then heaped somewhere, it is not well defined, it's not systematic. That succession is not well defined, it is haphazard. Here, this creation is not haphazard, it is in a well defined order. So, Sat, the conscious entity, when it creates in a well defined order. Similarly, also from Teja, Apa also, we find creation in a well defined manner. Therefore, Teja Prabhuti Ikshate iva ikshate iti uchyate. Therefore, so they don't really see, meaning that primarily the seeing is not there in fire or water. But then we can sort of say, because they seem to function as systematically as Sat functions. Just as from Sat there is a well-defined order of succession, and so also from Teja and up also we find. Therefore, you can say that they as though Ikshata iva Ikshata, they as though saw. Says the Tika, Karanagatam Ikshanam Karya Upacharyate. Ikshanam, the seeing is primarily there in Sat, which is Karanam. Then Teja, Apahar, Karya. So the Ikshanam that belongs to cause is also Upacharyate, is also in a secondary sense said to obtain in the effect. So the quality of the cause obtains in effect. So cause is Sat, and that deliberation is involved, so that same deliberation also is as though obtaining in the effect. Karya Karana Abhedat, because Karanam is not separate from Upadana Karanam, therefore whatever attributes are there in Upadana Karanam, they would be there in the Karyam also. So either Karya Kanabhet or Muksha Ikshitru Gada Guna Yogadva, or in Karanam the Ikshanam is a Guna. And so Simha Shabda Divata, like Deva Devadatta Simha, Devadatta Simho, Devadatta. Devadatta is a lion because he possesses some qualities of lion, and so also Teja Apaha possesses some qualities, therefore they are also called conscious entities. So Satahiva iti. Then Abhutam, Tikakara says. So iti uchyate Abhutam. Teja Adishu Abhutam Avidyamanam Ikshanam Kalpayitum Aropayitam Ikshitruiva Ikshitruti Uchyate iti Anvayah. Teja Adishu Abhutam Avidyamanam Lakshanam Kalpayitum. To imagine that in Teja also the Ikshanam or seeing is not there, but it is superimposed. It is imagined to be there, thought to be there. Therefore, just as Sat is primarily Ikshitru, but Teja, Apa also are also as though Ikshitru, because there is a Karyakarana Sambandha here, or the Guna of Ikshanam also follow here as though. Tat Aropasya cha Prayojanam Niyatakrama Vishishta Karyotpadakatva Jnanamiti Bhavaha, because you find that a well-defined order of succession is there after Teja also, after Up also. Therefore, we can say that they also as though deliberated. Bhutam iti va chedaha iti uchyate bhutam. Bhutam means bhutantaram, abadikam, kalpayitum, utpadayitum. Therefore, bhutantaram, the Teja created another bhuta, namely water. So, for that, so there is a kalpana, there is an aropa. As far as the Teja and Apa are concerned, the Ikshanam is aropitam, is only superimposed, is kalpitam, is imagined. Because the Sat has Ikshanam, so Sat product also can have Ikshanam in a secondary sense. Okay. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamada Purnameva Vashishyate Teshantihi Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavanto Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibha Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.